Welcome to our pilot episode where we're going to be talking all about how you can get started today. We're going to be covering our pitfalls, we're going to be covering how to get started, and we're going to be covering that if you've already gotten started and you find that you are not seeing success, we're going to talk about how to reel it back in. So make sure you stay right there, and we're going to get right into it right now. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is those pitfalls. The reason that we want to talk about these pitfalls is because of the fact that we want to understand what we don't want to do, right? The first thing that we do is that we do too much, too often, too fast. This is a great way to get injured, and this is a great way to actually see potential regression. Sometimes I see people that do too much and they actually gain weight, or they lose muscle, or they find themselves in an unhealthier place, and then they're finally coming to seek me out so that way we can start to kind of dig them out of that hole that they've done, and they've worked very, very hard to dig that hole. The thing that we want to go on from there is that we want to go ahead and dive right into the first and the most important thing that we want to do here, and that's that we want to target our diet. We want the diet to be the cornerstone of how we want to begin things. This is because that it is typically, in my opinion, the most difficult for people. It is also the place where we can add things and that it's not going to feel so harsh, right? So the first thing that everybody does is that they always remove all of these calories, and then they take them away, and then they're starving, and then they're miserable. So what we actually want to do is that we want to add protein, fiber, and water into our diet, right? So you're probably thinking right now, well, how much of that stuff should I be getting? The thing to know is that we just want to see it at every single meal. If you're having a snack, I want to see protein, fiber, and water. If you're having a meal, I want to see protein, fiber, and water. If you're adding choices to those things that you don't feel like is perfect or conducive to your goals for this second, that's okay. That's completely fine. I don't want you to take anything away right now. All I want you to do is that I want you to focus on making sure that you're adding in that protein, water, and fiber. As you feel like you have added those things in and you feel like your diet is very conducive and consistent and maintainable for your lifestyle, that then we can start to take away some stuff. But you never want to just take away, because what you're going to do is that you're going to find that all that's happening is less, and you haven't replaced that less with anything, right? The goal here is that we want to replace the not so nutritious with very nutritious and very satiating, right? We typically associate being full or satisfied with being bloated and like a beached whale on the couch, but we actually want to be closer to being just content and satisfied with our meal. And I can tell you this 100%, if you've ever had just a giant bowl of salad with 8 ounces of chicken breast you probably get bored and full of it before you eat the whole thing, even though you probably could just keep eating and keep eating and keep eating. And that's a great place to be. And that's where we want to find ourselves down the road. But for today, we're going to start with that step one. And that step one is just making sure that we're adding in protein, fiber, water at every meal. From there, we're going to start with some movement. So with the pitfall of movement is that everybody starts abusing it. They just do more. They do more for the sake of more, because more is better, but sometimes more is just more. And what we want to find is the right amount. I recently just had somebody come into me a couple weeks ago who was walking for an hour every single morning. And she'd been doing this for a year, and she actually found that she ended up gaining weight even though that she had added in activity. And it's just because of the fact that anything is abusable. So the place that we want to find ourselves here is probably getting about 20 to 30 minutes of walking total a day. It does not need to be at one time. You could do 10 minutes after each meal. You could have a step goal. The classic 10,000 is a great goal to have. But if you find that that you start to track and you see that you're at 5,000 steps, don't jump straight to 10. Just start to add a little bit, right? Start to add in 500 extra steps a week or 1,000 steps a week and work up to that goal. And then from there, all we're going to do is that we're just now building an activity. Once we feel like that's a little bit maintainable, that we can add in some mobility sessions. Now, for the mobility sessions, what we're going to try to do is that we're going to try to do it anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. And we're just going to try to spend 15 minutes on this. And these are feel good. We want to feel good. We want to feel great in our own skin. And we want to be happy to be us, right? And so all we're trying to do is we're just trying to get some movement, right? So this is going to be, if you're familiar with some yoga poses or some things like that, that would be a great place to be. But you can also just do some classic stretches that you maybe remember doing from gym class or from things that you maybe have done if you've ever had PT or things like that. A great place to be here would be something like doing a lunge where we're stretching out the front of our hips, doing a toe touch where we're stretching out the back of our legs, and then maybe something where we're twisting a little bit. And we're just being able to open up our thoracic spine a little bit and breathing a little bit and twisting and not feeling like RoboCop every time that we're moving around because we have to move our head with our neck and our shoulders all together at the same time. Once you feel like you've gotten some of that down, we're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with our own skin and you're craving to do a little bit more, we could either add in a little bit more mobility throughout the week, and we could do it more times. This isn't something that would be uncommon or unheard of for you to do anywhere up to 5 times a week. If you feel like you're not getting as much out of the mobility and you want to go ahead and jump to the next step of things would be that we want to get some gentle strength. I know that sounds counterintuitive or like an oxymoron, but the gentle strength just means that what we want to do when we're going through these exercises is that we want to grease the groove, right? We want to really dig in that groove and we want to just lay into it slowly but surely each and every single time here. And that what we're going to find is that it solidifies a deeper and deeper and deeper groove. What we're going to do here is that we want to try to get 2 to 3 exercises 2 to 3 times a week. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. For each of these exercises, we're going to try 10 to 15 reps. We should feel like we could have a little extra left in our tank. And be cautious, you might get a little sore, but those mobility sessions that we've already tried to bake in are going to help break up that soreness. It's going to help you feel good. The walking is going to help you break up that soreness. It's going to make you feel good. That's why we lay that foundation first, right? So a couple of really great exercises to start with would be something where we're going to be trying to do a squat. This is anything where we're bending our knees, ankles, and hips all together. We always want to be pain-free when we're doing these exercises. You might feel stiff, but we want to be pain-free. Sit to stand is a really great place here. We want to make sure that we have a really, really controlled. Most of the times when we're sitting down, that we just have this big umph and flop, right? We flop down to the seat, and then we umph our way up. But we want it to be nice and controlled. All you're going to do is try to go down as slow as you can, touch, and then back up. Rinse and repeat for 10 to 15 times, and then you do that 2 to 3 times a week. Pretty simple there. From there, what we're going to do is we can add in also something where we're either pushing or pulling. Pulling is something where we would probably want to make sure that we're doing so that we're really opening up our posture. Something really, really great here would actually be something like a Superman or Superwoman or Super People from that we might remember from gym class, just where we're kind of opening up our chest a little bit, retracting those shoulders. If we don't have anything like that, we could always do something where we can get like a band or something, or we could be pulling something to us. For a push-up or for a push, we could do a push-up or anything where we're pushing something away from us. This could be just a classic push-up, whether we're doing it from the countertop, the desk, a chair, the floor, from our knees. It can be anything that you want to do. What we want to make sure is that we're always building the foundation here, right? There's an old analogy of the wider the base, the taller the pyramid or the taller the peak. And that's what we want to be thinking about here is that we're building a foundation. We're building a foundation for the house that we want to build and the house that you want to be. So that's what we want to be focusing on here is making sure that we're doing one step at a time, making sure that it's consistent and sustainable for you and your lifestyle. So that way that we know that it's going to feed perfectly right into the next thing that we're going to be doing. All right, we're going to be doing a quick Q&A with my producer.
First question, what got you into coaching in the first place?
I've been in fitness in some way, shape, or form since I was 13. Definitely originally motivated by appearance. I was very self-conscious, a very tall and skinny 13-year-old. and I wanted to be more comfortable in my own skin. I played a brief amount of a variety of sports. I actually was very resistant to coaching originally. I wanted to be a collegiate coach. I actually had an opportunity to get to be involved in that space, and I found out that collegiate level athletes aren't as fun to always coach as it would imply. So then I ended up being a personal trainer as like an interim job at one point. I loved it. I loved specifically working with people in the age range of 40 plus. I've gotten a chance to work with an insane amount of diverse people, whether it's their backgrounds or what they're dealing with, and it makes my job honestly really fun. So I love it. I love getting to have that challenge of each person having a different thing and a different background and a different lifestyle. To be honest, once you really get down to it, most of the issues that people have are logistic issues, kind of like when, what, how, and why, not really like, once you kind of know how to fix shoulder pain or low back pain or things like that, or how to help somebody through things like that. Those are kind of like the tactical approaches, but it's more like the emotional or logistic approaches that people struggle with, and it's fun to get to be part of those as well.
Okay. What is the biggest mistake you see people making?
Well, in the pertains to this specific episode, I guess I have to reinforce the too much, too fast, approach to things. It's everything in the kitchen sink. I find myself doing this as well sometimes. It's always easy to want to do more and more and more, and the right amount is the right amount. If you were to take some Advil, if you took 2, your headache might go away, or if you took 20, it'll probably be the last headache that you ever had. So it's one of those things that just finding the right dose for you, and making sure that you're working in that. And sometimes you got to peel back, and sometimes you got to push the gas pedal a little bit.
If someone can only start with 15 minutes a day, what's the most important thing to do?
15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day is a lot. That's actually a really good amount. There's actually a really good program that I did when I was in my early 20s called Easy Strength by Dan John and Pavel. And that's, that you only have to dedicate like 15 to 30 minutes. So there's a lot that you can do with 15 minutes. I would honestly say, though, I would have a small little mobility routine. I would recommend to somebody things that get them moving in ways that they don't typically move. So I would do some type of lateral movement, like a side banded walk, or some type of sideline leg raise, like the Jane Fonda sideline leg raise. It's very, very iconic. I'm sure everybody can picture that in their mind immediately when I say that. I would do some type of twisting, especially through the trunk. I think like a cable twist, or like a lunge, kind of going into a twist, kind of one hand on the floor, one hand up in the air, sort of pose. And then something that just gets me moving in general, I think of like a bear crawl or a Turkish get up, is immediately what kind of comes to mind. But if you were doing things like that for 15 minutes a day, you would probably say, man, I feel so comfortable in my own skin. I'm surprised how fit that I can be. And I think also 15 minutes a day, if you were just walking for 15 minutes a day and you weren't doing anything previously, you're also killing it. So, you're making huge progress forward.
Okay, and last question. What keeps people consistent after the first few weeks?
What keeps people consistent at the first few weeks? It's making sure that you have the baby steps in place, right? We got done talking about making sure that we're laying down a foundation in today's episode. And so it's all about really baby steps starting. Like, everybody throws too much, and it's kind of just a matter of time of whenever you get burnt out. So you're definitely going to want to just have a little bit, right? I kind of talked about like making sure that we're starting with the most important thing, which is the diet. And it's really easy to want to just say, hey, I'm going to jump to step 10. But if you do step 1, I would make sure that you're consistent with step 1 for 3-4 weeks. And then if you're consistent, then you go to step 2, and then you do that, and then, you do that, and you're trying to build kind of compound interest, or you're trying to build the stairs to try to get higher and higher and higher of these steps. And that's really what's going to make you consistent, is making sure that you really have dug in or grooved what you need to be doing. And that's all that we're going to be doing today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please check out our website, and then we will see you in the next one.